So kick and bass shell is a workstation where you have two synths, one for creating your kicks and one for creating your bass. And you have some tools to help you glue them together, shall we say. And we can start here with our kick. You have a sampler. If you want to use your own kicks, just double click, sorry. Here you go. And choose a kick, you know. Or you have the synth, which I prefer, to be honest. To create my own kicks. I mean, each bass line needs a kick. Each kick needs a bass line, and they should be made together, as one. This is why I made up this machine. So V-sweep controls the velocity sweep. T-sweep the time sweep. Slope is the curve. So low is low end. If I open here my span, you can see what low does. Oh, down here. Here. So basically changes the root of the kick. And this root will follow the pitch. And notice the same happens with I. So you totally control the range of your kick. For length, we look at this little analyzer. Length is basically the length of the kick. And fade is the tail. Then you have an envelope and you have a filter, which you can automate. You have band pass, low pass, and high pass, the typical 3 ones. And you also have an envelope, so if you want to have loads of length there, but then shorten it on. So it's very flexible, this kick synth. You also have, got to mention, MIDI learn. So I just have to learn. And it's ready. Here we go. Now for our bass, let's check out the bass. The bass is a bit more complex. And because we're going to the bass, I might as well speak of something that is common to both, which is these 4 buttons here. So compressor is on-off state compressor. The settings of the compressor behind the scenes were created especially for kick, this one obviously, and especially for bass. So my kick can go from to fairly compressed kick. It's good when you have a very powerful bass line and your kick kind of disappears, and when you press that compressor it helps a little bit. Also gives a bit of volume, so be careful with that. Lower your gain. Now M phase is basically the phase of the bass or the kick, the main phase. So this is a main phase everter. It's hard to see here on the kick. You can see it better on the bass. And then we have R phase, which gives a nice effect for breaks and stuff like that. And you got your typical mono button that makes sure that either your kick or your bass are in mono. Obviously, if you have them on, when you press R phase, you're inverting the right phase and you're creating phase inversion here. Now, coming to our bass, if I change bass, this is our bass. Okay, so our bass is, we have basically two paths. We have two oscillators here. In each one, you can control phase to minus or plus. You have, I think it's 13 waveforms here, different waveforms. Let's stick to the saw. You got fine tuning, and you have loads of octaves there to play with. These you can control with LFO. You can add LFO to that and control a little bit of the pitch. Now, from our oscillators, we go into this mix, and we have glide, which basically, if I have it on, you know what glide does. And this is the mix between the two oscillators. And after the oscillators, we have filters, and these filters are special. They're controlled by the filter envelopes here, filter envelope 1 and 2. And when you go to the left, you're using a low pass filter, so. And when you go to the right, you're using an high pass filter. And at the moment, low pass and high pass are running parallel, and if you press this button, they start running in series. So this, I think it's being controlled by LFO1. So this is LFO1. If I use another type, so you can see where you can get very creative with this stuff. Now I'm just gonna turn that off, the LFO off. You can do this, there on the, if you right click, you'll have these options here. So then we have an analog distortion, parabolic distortion, and overdrive selection for our distortion, for our bass distortion. So if you have a look at it, turn on brush, how much of it. That's analog distortion. If you check out parabolic saturation, overdrive, so you can give a bit of crunch, a bit of body to the bass just with a little bit of this. So for our envelopes, what's there to say is just right click and you have all the options here, number of sections you want on it, retrigger on or off, sustain loop. I usually have a sustained loop, and you start with one for our amplifier envelope. So, but if I turn it off, sustained loop off, You have access to it. So I like to have it on and control my sustain with the notes. So that's it. We have the LFO, blah blah blah. You know how to use an LFO. Bass offset. This is an interesting thing. You can offset the bass by 50 milliseconds closer to the kick or 50 milliseconds away from the kick. So in certain mixes, this is very helpful. If we go down here, we have the attenuators. And what the attenuators are they are basically EQs, peak EQs that follow the pitch. So let's check out the effects then. The effects are basically distortion, multiband distortion. And for the bass, you have a high band chorus. This chorus only affects this high band. So if we turn it on, we turn this on. So this is the mix. I'm affecting. You can see this as a spectrum from 20K to 20,000. And these would be the high bands, the mid section band, and these would be the low band. So I'm using band high chorus. I'm affecting only this part. Now for the distortion, we have mix, which is a mix of all of these. If you have everything set to 0, there should be no difference in sound. Now if we add a little bit of distortion by switching it on to the low end, perhaps something to the mid, and chorus works very well with distortion here for the eye. So I've written down some patterns and let's check out. Well, I've messed about so much with it. Okay, let's switch this off. Take that, switch that off. So sidechain, we have two modes for sidechain. When we activate it, let's see. This is the typical volume sidechain. So we're basically lowering the bass volume, output volume, when the kick hits. And then we have another type of sidechain. Before I move into that, attack is just where the sidechain is going to eat. Before the kick or a bit after the kick. So now high pass sidechain is we're only sidechaining the lower frequencies of the bass when the kick hits. So we still have the rest of the bass. It sounds like there's no sidechain at all, but there is. So we also have an envelope that controls both together, both kick and bass. We analyze it like here. And we have a filter, just like for the kick. And that's basically it. We also have a single output down here button. What this does is, instead of sending kick and bass into two different channels, it will send kick and bass to the kick channel, to the kick output channel. And when that's on, what happens is that both kick and bass come through the kick attenuators and the kick distortion. So if I have that on and I add distortion to the kick here, I'm actually adding distortion to both kick and bass, but I'm only having a signal on my kick output channel. So that's basically it. And on the next video, I'm gonna do a kick and bass combo and check out what we can achieve with this. See you then.